The SRL on the NFL. Previews, predictions, and analysis covering every storyline in football every week. The SRL on the NFL. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to SRL on the NFL. My name is Brendan Yerkes, and today it's just me for week 17 of SRL on the NFL. We had a bit of a scheduling conflict this week. Obviously, with the holidays and Christmas and all, it's been a little bit tough. So today it's going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a shorter episode. Just going to run through the games from last week, the earlier Christmas games from this week, and then I'm going to make my picks for this week's games and go through Alex's picks as well. So before I get started, make sure to check out our social medias at srl.media on Instagram and TikTok. And you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or the video version on YouTube. All right, let's get right into it. After last week's games, week 16, we are tied once again, 156 and 86. 154 and 86 for each of us. We were tied with 2 weeks to go. I went 11-5. Alex with the one up on me, 12-4 last week. So he takes the win in that one. With those picks, let's look through the games there. Starting off last Thursday, the Chargers get the win over Denver, and that sets up big playoff implications. The Chargers getting that big win pretty much locks up their spot. Doesn't, but puts them in a very good position to do so. Denver, they don't get the win, so now they are in danger of potentially missing. They have a big game against Cincinnati this weekend, so that one is big for playoff seeding. So we will see if that has anything. If Denver wins one game, they'll be in good shape, especially against Cincinnati. But if they lose, then they're in danger of potentially missing after holding a spot throughout the entire season. All right, the Saturday games, Kansas City and Houston. Kansas City with the win there, 27-19 over Houston. The Chiefs keep on rolling. The Texans already in firm playoff position with their division title locked up. So close game there. Kansas City pulls out with the win. And on Saturday, the other game, the Ravens, this time they take care of the Steelers handily, 34-17. They lost the first one, and now this one they're able to pull it out with the win. Moving to Sunday, Michael Penix Jr. steps in. His first game as the starter. They dismantle the Giants 34-7. 2 pick sixes from the Giants offense. Not ideal. Drew Lock, the quarterback in that game. Tyrone Tracy, not really much going there, but Penix, he was solid. 1 pick, but no touchdowns. The pick was into Kyle Pitts' hand, but then into the defender's hand, so not really an ideal situation there. 200 passing yards, 66% completion percentage, so a lot to build off there. Good game for Bijan. He had their 2 offensive touchdowns, almost 100 yards, so it'll be look to see in these final 2 games that are huge for Atlanta, big playoff implications there if Michael Penix Jr. can get something going. The Panthers eliminate the Cardinals from the playoffs 36-30. They get the win, their 4th win of the season, so they've been better than I expected going in, getting now 4 wins on the year, but they win this one 36-30. The Cardinals had a chance. They didn't have high expectations going in. They looked better at the start and looked like they would maybe have a chance to fight for a playoff spot, especially with the NFC West up for grabs. They don't take advantage. They've struggled. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. have struggled, especially as of late, and they're falling to the Panthers. The Lions and the Bears. Lions win this one 34-17. No surprises here. Bears still haven't won a game since that Hail Mary loss. And I think they're just trying to get to the end of the season and reevaluate, get a new coach and reset. So I think they'll maybe be okay next year. But right now, this season's over. Colts stay alive, 38-30. They get the win over Tennessee. That one's expected as well. The Titans have not done well. This one, the Jets fall to the Rams, 19-9. This is the first time in about 30 years. The Jets are a team setting history every week. So the first time in 30 years, a team that has not punted in a game scored less than 10 points. And they had their chances. Did not score. Rodgers now 1 touchdown away from 500. The Rams able to pull through and now keep their position alive. They're in the first place in that NFC West right now, holding the ground over Seattle. So they're in the driver's seat there, but we'll see what happens in the last 2 weeks. This one was a crazy game, 36-33. The Commanders able to take down the Eagles. The Eagles had a big lead. The Commanders came all the way back and a touchdown with 5 seconds left to Jamison Crowder, who had 2 in this game, is able to be the winner there. So he really a good game there all around. Jaden Daniels showing off again, 258 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. He did have 2 picks in this game, but still led his team to the win. The big story, though, Jalen Hurts out with a concussion. Kenny Pickett had to come in, and he was just okay. He's going to probably have to start next week. Saquon Barkley, 150 yards. Good game there as well. So the Eagles, they're pretty much locked up with that division, so they have their playoff spot solidified already, but they do not clinch the division yet. but they look like they'll be okay as we get into the final 2 weeks. The Bengals keeping their push alive. They're going to have to win out. They beat the Browns 24-6. Cleveland's pretty much dead, and Cincinnati has been winning. This one was a big one in the NFC. The Vikings and the Seahawks. The Vikings get a last-minute touchdown from Sam Darnold, leading them to victory again. 246 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. So he's been unreal all season long. Keeps that going. And Geno Smith threw a pick at the end that sold that game, but he was pretty solid overall. 72% completion percentage, over 300 yards. But the Seahawks need a lifeline right now. But they do win Thursday night, which we'll get to in a little bit. The Bills and the Patriots, this game was a lot closer than expected. The Patriots ended up having a 10-0 lead, unable to take advantage of some more chances. The Bills came all the way back, and they were just the better team. I think that we knew this going in, obviously. They had a little bit of a scare, but being the better team, they were able to pull it out. This one's big for the NFL draft, the Raiders and the Jaguars. The Raiders, like me and Alex both predicted, were able to pull it out. They win at home, so they fall from the first pick to, I believe, the 6th pick, a pretty big drop-off there as they beat Jacksonville. So now the Giants take over with the number 1 pick. These two teams are just waiting to get to the draft as well. Mac Jones, no picks in this game, but Aiden O'Connell, same thing here. So those quarterbacks protecting the ball. Moving on, the Dolphins beating the 49ers 29-17. The 49ers are now eliminated from the playoffs, so as much hope as we had for them to maybe climb back into it, that is not going to happen. The Dolphins are still somewhat in this year. I don't really see a way for them to make it, but I think they're in about that situation. They're injured. They're like a Cowboys-like situation, kind of even. Going to end up around 500. There's too much talent there to be one of the worst teams in the league. So I think they're going to be around that average point as that's shown, and that's where we're heading with 2 weeks left. Sunday night, it was the Cowboys and the Bucs. The Cowboys upset the Buccaneers. Now the Cowboys playing really well at the end for Mike McCarthy. This was a game that I think the Bucs should have had, and I think they needed to have to build a nice lead in that NFC South, and now things are a lot closer as Dallas is able to pull it out. That Baker Mayfield made a tremendous play right at the end to keep it going, get the ball to Rachaad White, and he fumbles it. The Cowboys get the win there. And Monday night to close out Week 16, the Packers win 34-0 over the Saints, and they are on a tear right now. They've been really good, the Packers, a few weeks in a row, and it was kind of everybody getting it done. No one particular player there. I think we've seen that with Green Bay all season, that it hasn't been one guy. It's been rotated around a lot. So Week 17, all of our picks we had in before the games. We just a little late on posting them, so we made them already ahead of time. But the games that have happened already on Christmas, we have the Steelers and the Chiefs. The Steelers fall again. This time the Chiefs beat them up handily, 29-10. The Kansas City now looking good, a nice convincing win. So they're kind of getting things going in the right direction again, even though it's funny to say that because they only have one loss the entire season. But 29-10, they win big. They're getting back right. They're getting Kelsey involved. Hunt had a better game again. So overall, that's what you want to see from them. Mahomes, 320 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 76% completion. So that's the Kansas City we know, and I would say know and love, but not really everybody feels that way. The Ravens, they also look like they're on a tear, 31-2. They beat the Houston Texans, so the Texans not really good. And get 2 games in a row in a tight span. They're kind of stumbling into the playoffs here. Haven't looked too great as of late. C.J. Stroud, tough game. Nothing going on the ground for Joe Mixon, only 26 yards. So I want to see more from them going in. They already are locked up in that, pretty sure that 4 spot with that division victory in their not so great division. And then a not great game, Thursday Night Football. Me and Alex both had this one down, a 6-3 win for the Seattle Seahawks over the Bears. No touchdowns. The Bears just have nothing going on offense, and I guess it was a defensive fest, and the Seahawks, much needed win to stay alive here in this playoff push. They get the win. They still have a chance in the NFC West, although not likely, as now we move on to the games for the rest of the Week 17. Those were the ones that already happened with the Christmas games on Wednesday and then the Thursday night game last night. Today is Friday as I'm making these. I have Alex's picks, and then we are going to go through all of them. So starting off, the first game that we are going to pick is the Broncos and the Bengals. And this one is big because the Bengals, if they win their next 2 games, they, I think, get in the playoffs with Denver losing their next 2 games. So them playing each other is big. That just sets it up for a potential Week 18 winning in, losing in type situation there. And I'm going to go with the Bengals. They're on a roll. Their offense has been really carrying the load all season. And I think the Broncos defense the Broncos offense has struggled the last 2 weeks when they've needed to get it done. So I think this is a good game for the Bengals to hopefully outscore the Denver Broncos. And I see them with being the home team and having the more experienced quarterback in Joe Burrow as the team getting it done. Alex feels the opposite. He's going with the Denver Broncos to win this game and eliminate the Bengals from the playoffs. Cardinals and Rams, we're both lined up with the Rams here. I just think the Cardinals now, their offense has really struggled. That was the highlight of their team. They've been kind of shut down in recent weeks. The Rams have that path to winning the NFC West and getting that home playoff game in their sights. And I see them being the home team here, especially. They're going to be able to close it out and get it done. Chargers and Patriots, this one's in New England. But the Chargers, they had that big win on Thursday night last week, now playing an easier team in New England. A lot less stakes, but a chance to make it towards the playoffs. So I'm going to go with, go with the Chargers here. Colts and Giants, we're both with the Colts. That's a pretty easy one. The Giants, I think, are going to lose this game, be the first team in NFL history to go 0-9 at home during a season and to go one game closer to being the first overall pick in this year's upcoming draft. Falcons and Commanders. Falcons have a chance now for that NFC South. They're going to need to win, but the Commanders showed me a lot last week. Big game over the Eagles. They're able to win that one, and they're, I think, a win, and they're in the playoffs. So give me the Commanders. Alec is also taking the Commanders to win that one. They've been really fun to watch. Had a little bit of dip in the middle, but now they've figured it out fully once again. Jets and Bills, another divisional game. I feel like there's a couple of them upcoming this week. The Bills are the better team. I think we're both feeling that. I think the Bills are going to come out victorious in this game, although I have a weird feeling the Jets might make it close. Divisional games always bring something out, but the Bills being at home too, I feel like the Bills typically win against the Jets at home. The Jets, the times they have beaten the Bills in recent years, it's been at MetLife Stadium. So give me Buffalo to take this one, even though the Chiefs already did lock up the 1 seed in the conference. I think the Bills are going to try and lock up the 2 seed with another win here. Packers-Vikings, really good one in the NFC North. A lot of more seeding implications involved here. These two teams are in the wild card spots. It could potentially jump into a division spot if the Lions are able to lose a game. I'm going to go with the Packers, and Alex is too. The Packers are on the road. The Vikings are the home team here, but I just think the Packers have been firing on all cylinders in every direction. Their defense has been really good. Shutout last week, although against the bad Saints team. They're running the ball really well with Jacobs. Jordan Love's had a bunch of good games, so without balanced attack there, you don't know what you're going to get. And now the Vikings are still, they've been really good too, but I think they've been, last game came down to the wire. But I'm going to go with Green Bay. This should be a really good game, probably the best one of the week. Raiders and Saints, I'm going to go with the Raiders here to win 2 in a row. I like the fight they've been showing. I think they love their head coach, Antonio Pierce, and they're going to try and win this one here. The Saints are at home, though. Alex is going to go with the Saints, so a bit of a difference here. I'm going to see the Raiders jumping from that first pick like they had prior to last week and now falling even further, winning another game as we move on. But the Saints just have shown nothing to me, especially with that shutout. Their quarterback is always changing, Rattler and Hayner, that they've been bouncing around. No consistency there. Where the Raiders, I think O'Connell has shown something, at least a little bit, to spark them to win this game here and get back-to-back there for the Raiders. Another NFC South game here, Panthers and Bucks. Bucks are home. They need it, especially after a tough loss to the Cowboys last week. So this is no gimme for the Bucks, but if they're going to want to make the playoffs, they got to have this one with the Falcons. Also in a tough game, so they want to lock this one up. I'm going to take the Buccaneers, and so is Alex. And now to the AFC South, Titans, Jags. Jags are the home team. Jags lost to the Raiders last week. We're both going to go with Jacksonville. Mac Jones has been solid since coming in as a starter. Their team just not a lot of talent there, but we're both expecting Jacksonville to come away with a victory here. Cowboys and Eagles. Jalen Hurts looking like he's not going to be playing, but the Eagles are at home. Even though the Cowboys did win last week, we're both taking the Eagles to come out with this one. They're just so talented. This is going to be a big game for Saquon Barkley on the ground to get things going there for the Eagles. 2 more to go, Dolphins and Browns. Dolphins on the road, but the Browns, I don't think I've shown anything. The Dolphins still have something to play for. I'm going to keep that fight alive. Not a guarantee they make it in. It's very unlikely the Dolphins make it in, actually, but we're both going to go with the Fins to get this one. And the Monday night game, Lions and 49ers. 49ers are out. Lions have to go and try and clinch up that division for the second straight year. We're both taking Detroit on the road to win this one. That's going to do it for this episode of SRL on the NFL for Week 17. I know it's just me today and a lot shorter, but we wanted to make sure we got our picks out and a little bit of analysis. We'll be back fully with me and Alex joined on here with me for the final game of the final week of the regular season and get these things closed out before we go into the playoffs. We're going to do playoff predictions for each individual game, do our own brackets, do it each week leading up to the Super Bowl before we change to a modified schedule. But our records are tied, like I said, 154 and 86. So that'll be fun to see who can come out on top in these last 2 weeks. But yeah, that's going to do it for week 17 of SRL on the NFL. My name is Brendan Yerkes. Thank you so much for tuning in.